Myron and I have done some things to be able to talk and just develop our mental, emotional game as much as we develop our ball skills. How you doing, man? Good. Hanging in there? Yeah. All grown up. So what's funny is I used to coach your older sister, right? I used to coach his older sister, but he was little, running around there. And so to see you close to being a man, if not already, right? You're almost 18 yet? No? No? How old are you? 15? Okay. Yeah, it's good to see you. I just see that smile, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember it. All right. So anyways, we've done this a couple of times now, and I love being able to come out here and just kind of pour it into you guys, okay? The topic that I want to talk about today is us being able to slay giants. So first, whenever I think about giants, and maybe whenever you think about giants, you might think about outside of you. But where's the biggest giant to slay? Where is it at? Yeah, I like that. Thumbs to ourselves, thumbs to our minds, right? That's the biggest giant to slay. But the cool thing about it is that for ourselves, if we're able to conquer that, it actually grows us, right? It allows us to be more. So the first thing I have to tell you, we don't have any girls here today, but I would say queens too. But you guys all need to understand one thing before we have the conversation. Otherwise, we can't have this conversation. The first thing that you need to understand is that inside of you is already a king. You are already a king right now. Like, that's already happening. You don't even have a choice about it. It's already happening. Now, what you can prevent is you can prevent people from seeing that you're a king, but no matter what, you're already a king. And you might not understand that, but if you ever wonder, like, why are things so challenging for me? Because your body and your mind know you're a king, and you can't let it out yet. So that's why things get challenging. Like, for instance, and maybe none of you have this, but let's say your parents want you to clean your room, right? And you do the battle with them, and you're like, man, I'm not ready to be a king yet. So you do a battle with them, but your body on the inside is like, hey, you're great enough to be able to take that kind of responsibility and do those kinds of things, right? Automatically, it already knows. So I just need you guys to know that inside of you is a king, and that's who I'm speaking to, right? I'm speaking to that part of you. All right, so there's 3 things that we're going to talk about that are going to be helpful to you being able to slay the ultimate giant, right? One is I want you to know about confidence. I want you to know about self-motivation. And then I also want you to know how to perform when things are challenging. We all know how to perform here. Like, we could do the drills. But what about when you're down by 10 with 1 minute to go? And this might be the last time that you ever play basketball. What about then? Right? That's the time where we got to really show up, right? Okay, so I got to tell you a story, because the story is going to help us to be able to really understand how we're going to conquer this thing right here, okay? So here's the story. There was a boy, and this boy, his job was to, and he's kind of like you guys, like probably around the same age, right? Teenage, right? But his job is kind of interesting. His job is to be able to take care of sheep. That's what his job is to do. He takes care of sheep, and he protects the sheep and makes sure that the sheep are okay. But he's kind of scrawny, like he's not doing what his brothers do. You know what his brothers do? His brothers are warriors, like they're out to battle. So he's in there, he's taking care of the sheep at home, they're out battling, and they're all around the same age, right? Well, he overhears this big giant, and this big giant's like, none of you guys can mess with me, and I'm gonna take your family and all their money, and you guys will be gone. And so they're all hiding, all the brothers who are warriors, right? They're hiding, and yet this sheep kid, right, scrawny sheep kid, he says, wait a minute, did somebody just say something about my family right now? Right? He got focused. He said, somebody just said something about my family, and I know my sheep don't talk, so it must have been somebody else. And then he went and looked, and everybody's like, wait, no, don't go over there, don't go over there, right? And so all of them are afraid, and so they're trying to get him to be afraid too and keep him safe, right? He's like, no. This giant's talking about our family and going to take our stuff. I got a problem with that. Right? Now, remember, what he was used to doing was taking care of sheep. Now he's about to take care of his family. This is what he does. Right? So then all of a sudden, like, the giant shows up and says, hey, who is this person talking? Right? And he says, it's me. It's me. And so everybody tries to stop him. They're like, wait, it's just like if a fight goes on at school, right? Everybody's like, wait, don't do it. Don't do it. And so he goes on and he tells his family, look, for all of you guys who doubt me, like, I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to take care of this giant. And not only when I take care of this giant, I'm taking everything that he owns too. Right? So this kid who just heard sheep, he has a lot of confidence. Wouldn't you agree? A lot more than what everybody else has, because the warriors are hiding. He's not. Right? Okay, so he says, they finally agree. They say, we'll let you go fight the giant, but I need you to put on some armor. So they get all the armor from the warriors, right? They get all the armor, and they go to put the armor on the scrawny sheep herder, and it's too heavy for him. He's like, I can't do this. I don't know how to carry all these weapons and the armor that you guys gave me, right? And then he says, I'm going to have to take it off and do what I know how to do, right? So he takes it off, and they're like, don't go, don't do it. He's like, listen, there was a bear that tried to attack my sheep. I killed him. There's a lion that tried to attack my sheep. I killed him too. And this giant's trying to get my family. I'm going to get him too. Right? So he's on a roll. Okay? So he goes up to the giant. He says, I heard that you were talking about my family. You're going to take my stuff. I got something for you. Takes off running, pulls out his slingshot because that's all he has. And there's a big old giant. But he lets it go. And boom, it hits the giant right in the head. And embeds right there. Giant falls off that one shot. Right? The next part gets kind of gruesome. You guys are old. You can handle it. He pulls out the giant sword and cuts the giant's head off. Right? Cuts it off. All right. And then he stands over him and takes the head back. Amazing ending to that story. Right? So here's the thing that you guys need to know about that. We just talked about 3 different things. The first thing is the confidence that he had. So much confidence. Where did his confidence come from? Can anybody guess where his confidence came from? Where did his confidence come from? What? His respect? Disrespect. Okay, he felt disrespect. So it's part of the thing that he was focused on, right? Where else did his confidence come from? Huh? His mentality, right? His mentality about the things that he had already done. And that's super important. And I heard sheep, and this is what I'm going to be focused on, right? I'm not going to be focused on what that thing is outside of me, because that's going to lower my confidence. I'm going to be focused on the things that I have already done. What have I done? I shot 1,000 shots. That's what I did, right? What have I done? I've been friends to a whole lot of people. I'm going to be okay after this situation when nobody likes me. Right? It's focusing on what you've done and being able to say and be aware of those kinds of things. That builds confidence. Right? So it's that awareness of us being able to say, like, this is what I've done, and I need to be aware only of those things. Only of those things. And you'll watch. If your confidence is low, you're going to see I'm focused on the things that are outside of me that I don't have control over. That's going to be a huge theme. Right? I'm focused on the wrong things. Was he focused on the wrong things? He was focused only on who he was. He didn't think the giant's too big. This armor won't work. I'm too small. Right? None of those things popped in his mind. He had no idea. No idea. All right. The second thing about us being able to be self-motivated. Self-motivation comes from a sense of responsibility. Where in the story did that boy have a sense of responsibility? What happened? Where he had a sense of responsibility, where he felt like it was up to him to take control of the situation. What happened there? Yeah, they said something about his family. He's like, that is not going down. That is not going down, right? Earlier, I told you guys in the story, we can't have this conversation without you knowing that you're a king. You have a sense of responsibility to yourself to be that scenario. Right? That's why we can't have this conversation unless you understand that. You have a sense of responsibility to be who you are on the inside, really. Not who people tell you you are, not who you think you are, who you really are. And you're all kings. You have that responsibility, right? So he was aware of his responsibility. He was aware of the things that he needed to do versus all the noise that was outside of him, right? Again, the armor was too big. He didn't know how to do weapons. His family, who were warriors, were hiding, right? But he's like, I have a responsibility. It doesn't even matter that that's a giant and he's killed all kinds of other people. It doesn't matter to me. I have a responsibility, right? So it doesn't matter that a referee makes the bad call. Your responsibility is to be respectful and to be the best on the court, to wear a crown on the court. It doesn't matter that your teammate messed up or your coach is making a bad call or that you just missed 15 shots. None of that matters, right? What matters is you have a responsibility to be the highest version of yourself possible, okay? All right. So as long as we're focused on doing our best in that moment, then we'll see like our self-motivation starts changing for ourselves. Okay. And that's what you have to be able to focus on. All right. So the last thing is us being able to play through mistakes. So one of the things that happened that we talked about is that he didn't have any gear that really fit, right? Things weren't really going right for him. If you think about that, have you guys ever been in a basketball game where things don't go right for you? Yeah, matter of fact, basketball is all about failure. Isn't it interesting that we wouldn't even play basketball if we could make every shot? You'd have zero interest in it. Matter of fact, I'll think about this. A lot of times we walk constantly, right? Nobody, I mean, people actually do this, but not many people want to play walking. Nobody wants to play walking. Why? Because you know you're going to hit the next step most likely, right? But you like playing basketball because you might miss. Right? You love playing basketball because you could possibly make a mistake. Right? Those are the reasons that you play the game. But then you let those reasons stop you. Isn't that interesting? Like, man, I had 15 turnovers. Yeah, you have 15 turnovers. That's why you play the game. If you couldn't have those turnovers, you wouldn't even have fun. So embrace those kinds of mistakes that happen inside of the game. The misses, all of that's part of the reason that you're doing it. If it was easy, you wouldn't want to do it, right? If all that was not challenging, you wouldn't want to do it. So we need to be able to say, look, whatever the scenario is, I actually can get through this scenario because this is part of what I'm doing already, okay? People said that he was too small. And sometimes it'll be people around you, but the worst time is whenever it's you inside of yourself saying that you're not good enough. That's whenever the challenge keeps us from going through the mistakes. And the thing about our sheep guy is that he was more aware of what he was trying to do. He was more aware of the task at hand than what the idea that he didn't fit the mode of being able to go do the battle. You can't watch other people to decide whether you're good enough or not. You have to stay focused on the inside and know, like, this is my thing, and I'm going to keep working at it. Okay? All right. So the last one is, or the last idea about playing through mistakes is us being able to just be more aware. And I kind of highlighted this a little bit, but us being able to be more aware on the mission. So if you get caught up in the game situation, let's say I mentioned earlier, down by 10, 1 minute left, and you're like, man, I've missed 20 shots already, and I can't do it. Can't make the next one because I'm just not good today, right? Instead of having the thought that says, look, I got a mission. The goal is to close that gap here in the next 15, 20 seconds. That's what I have to stay focused on, right? The goal is for me to be able to know and be ready for the next shot because it's coming, right? I remember one time they did an interview with Paul Pierce. Do you guys know who Paul Pierce is? Oh, okay. So Paul Pierce, they said, hey, coming out of half, hey, you just missed 17 shots. Are you worried about your game today? He's like, I missed 17 shots. And they said, yeah, you missed 17 shots. He said, oh man, I'm due. I don't miss the whole game. I'm a 50% shooter. So he knew I'm going to hit the next one. And at the end of the game, yeah, he had his 34, right? He had his 34. So just kind of know that is can I stay focused on and be more aware of the task and the mission at hand than I am of the moment, okay? All right, so 3 things that you guys just got from me. One was being how to get confidence, right? The second one was being self-motivated. And the third one was being able to play through mistakes, okay? I'm going to give you some real practical things that you guys can start doing immediately. You could even practice this if you could translate it a little bit, even at home, and that's best. All right, so the thing that I mentioned earlier that I said, hey, this is gonna be a big deal later, is controlling what you can control. Don't try to control other things. Don't try to control other things. You can't control what else is going on. What's the one thing that you have control over? One thing. Yourself. And sometimes we don't do that, but we need to be doing that, right? All right, so we need to focus on controlling the thing we control. The one thing that we can control is ourselves. And on a daily basis, we need to focus on our awareness. What are you thinking about? What are you feeling about? How am I doing things? Being more aware of those things will make a huge difference, but you got to do it on a daily basis. Do you guys know that before you say and do something, there's always a thought process that goes on first? Because how I focus on things or think about things creates how I feel. Right? So if I can highlight the idea or catch the thought, it's going to be a really big deal. But I got to be aware first. So you got to practice that on a daily basis. Okay? And that's why I'm saying you could even do that at home. All right. The second one is in the moment. So let's say that something bad happens in the game. The ball goes out of bounds because you missed it or you threw a bad pass. There's a good way to be able to transfer over. And you collect your mind just by doing a quick little two clap. Just two clap and let it go. Right? And so in that scenario, what you're trying to do is you're trying to snap yourself out of that mistake and go on to the next situation. So it's a real practical thing that you could do in the game, right? Just two clap and you're on to the next one. All right. Sometimes the moments in our emotions get so hot that it's hard to be there. But if I can clap myself out of it, it gets my mind to think somewhere else. And that's the goal, because remember, where you focus is a thinking scenario. Where you focus creates how you feel. Okay. All right. The third thing is celebrate your teammates. Celebrate your teammates. You're not following their lead. You're celebrating your teammates. So what I mean by that is, like, if you see like your teammates frustrated and you go up to them, hey, you'll be all right. And they're like, get off me. Right? You don't worry about that. Your job is just to celebrate them. Right? So you could practice that even before you guys get to the court, because your siblings, your parents all need to be celebrated. Make a habit of being able to celebrate the people around you. Right? That's controlling what you can control and getting yourself to focus on the right kinds of things, getting your awareness where it needs to be. Okay? Those are three practical things you could do. I'm going to give them to you again. One is to be able to practice your awareness daily. Think about what you're thinking about. Two is to be able to, in the moment, use your two clap to be able to switch off your emotions and turn on your thoughts. And then the third one is to be able to keep celebrating your teammates. And sometimes your teammates aren't on the basketball court. Sometimes it's your parents who are working their butts off to be able to love on you. Okay. Sometimes it's your siblings who are doing the best they can, but can't show it all the time. Right. Okay. So those three things should be able to help you guys. All right. So any questions about anything that I talked about today? No questions? Clear as mud. Don't shake your head yes to that. Yeah. All right. Cool deal. Well, hey, you guys, I appreciate you guys being able to listen to me and get whatever I have to give you guys. Good luck in your seasons, in your off season. Keep working hard. You'll have everything that you push for. Okay. All right. Yeah.